Well, I'd just like to take the opportunity to welcome everyone to the Public Utility Community Open House and Winter Preparedness event. This is an event that we've been looking to develop for the last few years now, just to try to find more ways to live up to the title of public utility, to open our power plant and our information and our offices here to the public and engage them and try to educate them and make them our advocates. I think I'm really excited for the event that we have coming together today. After my little introduction here, Luke Peterson will be giving his winter preparedness presentation, followed by some gentlemen from Frontier Energy who will be talking about energy audits and the free energy audit program that we offer here through the public utility. So I'm going to welcome up our general manager, Luke Peterson, then. And he'll start us off on this wonderful event.
Excuse me, did we get your name?
My name is Elliot Dixon. I am the Customer Communications and Program Specialist here at the Public Utility. I've been here for just over a year. So thank you for coming out today.
Well, thank you, Elliot, for that introduction, and thank you for all the work put into hosting this event. As Elliot had said, this is kind of a multi-purpose, multi-pronged approach, but we are a public utility, so we exist for the benefit of our system, and we are community-owned by the ratepayers, citizens of Hibbing. This utility was formed in 1896 by the City Council creating a water and light board to build some water towers from a failing mine operation, and here we are some 130-some years later, and we just celebrated a 100-year anniversary of the power plant, and I was telling some of our engineering friends that what's old is new again, right? And the laws of thermodynamics haven't changed since the beginning of time. And what we found 100 years ago is still sometimes true today. And you know, despite the changes in sometimes technology, some of the fundamentals stay the same, and that community ownership is the one thing that is the most important for Hibbing Public Utilities. And with our assets that you'll see if you go over on the power plant tour, you know, this is kind of the heart of our progress that was started 100 years ago, and it has a purpose for the future. And you know, because of, you know, not everyone's engineering aficionados, or everyone's into the cold weather pool and the community assistance we have. I want to just give there is a level playing field, though. It's about energy powering modern life and progress over the last 100 years. And as we move to this renewable energy transition here, sometimes we overcomplicate things. I know we have some engineers in the room, and there's that principle called Occam's razor, when there's two competing philosophies and the simplest one is usually true. And I think that's here with what we have is our cogen plant, which we make electricity and steam, and that steam is our waste product that heats our home. But what we're doing with that is something we've done forever, and that's just used a waste product and made the most value out of it before it's done, rather than wasting more. And we'll find now burning waste wood that would otherwise be going to landfills, we are not only improving our own carbon footprint, because within our own process we're net neutral, but we're also not buying carbon resources from outside our own system that would otherwise fill our processes. So, you know, we're actually, when we add up what we would be doing and what we are doing, we are, every person in Hibbing that's consuming electricity and steam from this power plant is helping contribute to almost a one-for-one reduction of carbon of what could be there. And that is just because all of the carbon we're using in our operations is being recycled back into other trees as they grow. We're avoiding that landfilling thing. So I think the calculation from energy, our energy consultants here is a net 30,000 tons of CO2 that we are saving the environment. And those, as you know, those CO2 atoms, they're still carbon. There's no more or less carbon than ever was, right? It's just where that is. And this life cycle of recycling of our carbon resources is very important for the future. And what's beneficial too is that we're sustaining the 40 jobs that we have in all of the operations at Hibbing Public Utilities as well, and building our local community.
So you're burning exclusively wood?
That's our primary fuel. We also use natural gas and on an emergency coal. So that's it. A little bit of a deep dive into the thermal operations, yeah. But coal is is there for emergencies only. We still have our permits if we need it, but wood is our primary fuel. And with that wood, we're actually getting it from a wood manufacturer that's already cut the trees down for making pallets. And so we're taking the waste wood. So we're actually making value out of a waste product, then we're using it to make a more value-added product like electricity and steam. And steam can be a very economical form of heat as well. And when we look at different options, steam is the one that we have control over the pricing of here in Hibbing. Natural gas pricing is very volatile, and if Russia invades Ukraine or there's a big supply disruption somewhere else, that can change quickly. And so just like our ancestors before us, if we can control the levers of own our own destiny as much locally as possible, that will give us the tool to be independent, which is what we want to do. We want to grow each community to be independent. So just a little bit before that, we also have a large infrastructure build going on throughout Hibbing, not just in our power plants that you'll see if you go on a tour, but also throughout our utility, especially our water system. We just had the Capital Investment Committee of the Minnesota House of Representatives up here for our bonding ask of over $24 million for our wastewater treatment plant and water main replacement. We have 100 miles of water lines in the city of Hibbing. And the average age is from 1945 or 1950, so they're very old. And they weren't meant to live that long, so we're not just a one-trick pony. We have, water is fundamentally the most important need and utility we serve, so we'll doing that as well. So I'm going to kick it off and hand it over to our energy efficiency experts here in just a moment, but the whole format of tonight is supposed to be very open and casual, so I don't want to sit here and do a big long spiel, but I want to just provide enough information. And for those of you who are Hibbing Public Utilities customers, I think you'll hear a little bit about our energy rebates. Also, our affordability programs are very happy to be joined by AEOA, the Arrowhead Economic and Opportunity Association, who's going to be here to talk about just the programs they offer for energy assistance. And then we'll break up into tours of the power plant.
I don't mean to keep it bumping in, but just a little bit of history. I know you're not 100 years old, but was this plant always a cogen plant?
It was. It was, and if you read the headlines of the Hibbing paper from 100 years ago, they read, "International experts visit Hibbing power plant, first of its kind." And of course, there's a lot of ebb and flow and change that has happened since then. But the innovative approach of this plant 100 years ago was that it was a closed cogen system. So it was always recycling the waste after the steam leaves the power plant. It recycles back and comes back to the power plant. So that was one of the innovations, and then it was completely self-contained, where they actually had the billing office where people would pay their bill, and the electric production and steam facility all right together. It was the first of its kind. And so other places had central plants, but they weren't the closed loop cogen plant.
So it's a back pressure turbine then?
It is, yes. There's 3 turbines. One of them is the primary back pressure turbine, but yes.
The others are extraction or
They are
full
extraction.
condensing?
Yep.
But they go to full condensing beyond that?
Correct. Yep. And so the original plant load was like 3 megawatts back in 1920. So we've managed to cram an additional 32 megawatts in that same room as the electric needs of the town. As you can imagine, in 1920 there wasn't nothing but a couple street lights and maybe a radio here or there. Now it's quite a bit different. So but we've been able to maintain the same building and kind of that same ethos all the way through, which is the same fancy word for the same kind of idea.
Can you give us the age of the turbines or anything?
I'm going to save that for the more detailed tour, just because I don't want to spoil it all. That's going to be right after this presentation wraps up.
Sorry.
But they're.
I know there's others here.
They need constant nurturing, so lots of cool things. But we're really glad to have reinvented it for this next new era of renewable energy and Minnesota's carbon-free energy mandate. So altogether, we're here to prove that local communities, with good planning and a lot of hard work working together, we can actually help lead the state we were the first utility to fulfill a renewable mandate when the 1994 biomass mandate was created. Lots of changes since then, but here we are, it still holds value. And not to just that, but in an area where local jobs have been hard to come by, for a while, these local jobs matter a lot. They help be the engine for the local economy. So the important thing though is we're heading into winter. We want to show everybody our fire that we're burning over there to keep warm for the whole city, but also think about your own homes too and what you can do to prepare for the cold weather coming down the road. So with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over, unless there's any other questions, to Frontier Energy, who's just going to talk a little bit about our energy conservation programs. We are mandated by the state of Minnesota to have an energy conservation program, and I know a lot of you love our free light bulbs. So demand is high for those free LED light bulbs that come in the door. Unfortunately, if you're not a Hibbing Public Utilities customer, we can't give you one. But our energy experts here will be here to talk about other programs that we have to help you get your house prepared for winter.
Hi guys, my name is Nishit Patel. I'm from Frontier Energy. So we help Hibbing public utility customers to process rebates and recommend them how they can save energy. So here is a little PowerPoint presentation that we prepared. So here is the things you need to get ready for winter. So yeah, for clean the gutters, check your fireplace, block the cold, and weather stripping on doors and windows. That will help you save energy heating cost. So how you can save money on heating? So you can install programmable thermostat, replace furnace filters, you can install thermal curtains and protect water pipes by insulating them. So you can clear a roof like regularly to keep your house warm. And I will talk about the home energy audit. So we do a free energy home audit for residential customers and commercial customers. So in that we will just take a thermographic infrared cameras and check if there is any leaks in the house, if some place is more cold and some place is more hot, and then we will check your HVAC units, rooftop units, if we can suggest you more efficient units, and we can also check about the light bulbs. And I think we do light install with Hibbing Public Utilities. I'm not sure about that, but there is a program for that. We replace bulbs, and yeah, try to be more energy efficient. And those are the rebates. I think that's the old one, but there is a new rebate form. So those are the rebates that we provide, Hibbing Public Utility provides. So if you have an Energy Star equipment like refrigerator, washer, dishwasher, dehumidifier, they are eligible for those amount of rebates. If you are buying a new furnace, and they are eligible for $200 rebates, and heat pumps are like eligible for $200 rebate per tons. So yeah, if you want recommendation, we are here to help you guys. And those are the other grants that also help you save some money. And the base funding is like 100% financial options with lower interest rates. Then there is a BER grants, which help small business owner to buy like expensive equipment and save some money. And yeah, is anybody talking about that? Luke?
I think the lesson is the way to get into those programs is to start with an energy audit, and that will open up the door for future energy and cost-saving opportunities.
Yeah, energy audit is like free of cost, so you can always do that, and we can recommend you guys which equipment is cheaper to buy and which is more efficient. Yeah, that's all. If you have any questions, I can answer it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you, Nash. With that, and I'll just introduce AOA if you don't. And can you just explain a little bit about what AEOA is and how do you support the community, especially during the cold weather season?
So my name is Ruth. I work with the Energy Assistance Program. It is a low-income heating and energy assistance program. It's federally funded. AEOA distributes funding for our area in St. Louis County, Lake County, and Cook County. Itasca County and Coochin County also have the same type of program, and that's called Itasca for people over west of you. We have applications. There you can fill out a fillable application at mn.gov/home. We have downloadable applications at aeoa.org. There are low-income guidelines. All of the directions are included. This year, we only need 1 month of income. If you sign an application in October, we would use September's income. We can help with fuel or electric or both. There's a lot of information on our website and also at the Department of Commerce. You can get information on it.
And we also have a furnace repair program if you own your own home and you're approved for energy assistance. We do help with furnace repairs and replacements if needed.
All right, well, just want to make sure everyone's aware of all the opportunities that are available for you. So thank you both, and you guys will both be hanging around
Yes.
if
Yep.
folks have questions or care to fill out an
Yep.
application or have questions about qualifications. And if I'm not mistaken too, the income qualifications have been relaxed as well, right? So it's more people qualify now for assistance than have
Yes.
previously.
Yeah.
So that's important to know, especially in the Iron Range. We have a lot of people that like to be self-sufficient and maybe too proud to ask for assistance, but right now I think the federal government and the state government are very interested in helping people pay for bills, and it might not be you, maybe a friend, but just the first thing you should do to think through if somebody's in a spot where they could use some help is to reach out to AEOA and get the assistance for their winter heating bills. So.
Yes, definitely.
So with that in mind, does anybody have any questions before we conclude this official presentation, and then we're going to break into some tours?
I'll ask one. How
Yeah.
typical is this arrangement? Cogeneration and also community-owned power plant?
You know, it's not typical.
Right.
And the reason why it's not typical is because it's hard. Municipal governments have a harder time being focused and efficient like a business is, just because of the nature of being publicly owned. But at the same time, we have a very unique community that's invested in that for the last 100 years. And, we found a way to make it work. And so it isn't very typical. It used to be a little more typical, but I mean, I think Chisholm had its own power plant, Evelyn did at some point. But Hibbing's kind of a relic. It's one of the only 2 operating steam districts, well, including Virginia, but that are committed to operating steam in the state of Minnesota right now. And that is St. Paul Cogen in St. Paul, Minnesota, and then here in Hibbing. The city of Duluth still does have a steam system. They're converting a lot of it to hot water. But the same company that runs the Duluth system runs the St. Paul one. So Evergreen Energy is their name, and they're great to work with.
Yeah, they're heating only.
They're heating only. They don't have the cogen. And for us, the value of having the electrical generation and the steam is what makes this work for us.
What percent of our electrical needs do we produce?
We can produce up to 100% of our electric. 110% as of last year with MISO accreditation. 35 megawatt or so accredited for a load of 23 on average. The way we actually run those, we typically run at about 50% of our load, 50 to 60%.
Depends on the market price.
Okay, it depends on the market price. So what we're doing is we can serve all of our load. That means we don't have to run all of our load. We will choose whether it's more economical to run at the moment or to buy in the real-time market. So when power prices are high, obviously it's a great time for us to produce more, because if we're producing 10% of the load, that's just reducing the cost for everybody else. So, and also you'll see our equipment isn't brand new. It also doesn't turn on a dime, so there's this sweet spot of how we operate it. Right now we're running at...
Well, right now with our Minnesota Power agreement and what we're generating right now, we're covering 100% of our load. Our high is 13 megawatts per hour this time of year.
But we feed into P&L and then we take all the.
So we are connected to the 115, the MISO grid. Minnesota Power does own transmission lines around here, but they are managed by the Mid-Continent System Operator. And it's basically a big network all the way from Manitoba all the way down to Texas, not to Texas, but it includes Louisiana. And that whole area operates the transmission system. So we are connected directly to that transmission system. And through our arrangement with Minnesota Power, we are our own market participant, meaning that we're like buying and selling on that big fish pond out that way. All of our electrons, though, don't actually physically leave the city of Hibbing. They're all consumed here. But financially, we buy our load from either the MISO market or that, and then we sell our generation. And it's a big balancing act. But electrically, none of the electrons are moving. Yeah.
A few years ago when Texas had their big failure, our gas price got hit. But I didn't see much on the electric side, but yet I understand that MISO still was shoving all kinds of kilowatts down to Texas or somewhere near there.
Yeah.
So how did that affect us as new customers?
So there's two things. You're absolutely right. There's the actual gas price that for those few weekends, and I think just for the Hibbing gas utility, it was about $1.6 million for that 3 days of gas in February. And it was due not to anything that was going on up here, but it was due to the wells, the gas producing entities down in Texas shutting off, and they're due to weather, and there wasn't enough pressure in the pipeline system. Yeah. And it's a little unfortunate, but all of the upper Midwest, you know, I talked about that financially, we're buying power on the market, but it never actually leaves Hibbing. Yeah. The way it's set up on the natural gas market, it's not integrated at all, but financially, we're buying gas like we're getting it all the way from the Gulf of Mexico. And so when we do that, and the pipeline company declares a pricing event, just because they're not getting enough supply, that makes prices go through the roofs. And I think they went up like 500 times or something like that in a minute. So what natural gas is also, and why it's so important that we have our wood as an alternative fuel here at Hibbing, is because we can balance. If the gas prices are high, we can shut that off. Most new base load generation, which is, for those of you at home or who don't know what that is, that's just basically what is running 24/7 is all natural gas based. So the rest of the world has almost a double risk for natural gas pricing because it affects not just gas but also electrical prices. And so you'll see in those periods that all of your electric bills, unless you're not a Hibbing customer, but if you were a customer of another utility, those gas prices are also passed off very quickly in the electric rates. Yeah. And so the way Hibbing managed it, we were able to put coal on in the power plant. And so if you were a steam customer, you didn't get an increase from that. We did unfortunately have to pass off some of the gas costs, but that's just because we were so small. But now we just did a quick analysis. All of our electric load right now, we save our customers $5 million a year compared to a neighboring investor-owned utility, just because of our ability to keep costs down because of balancing those fuels. And on the gas side, we're saving our customers over $2 million versus an investor-owned utility. But what happens oftentimes is extra fuel costs get passed and spread over time and charged interest, and it just makes more money. So
you're not interconnected with the Great Lakes transmission system?
So unfortunately, physically our gas is likely coming from Great Lakes.
Yes.
But because Northern Natural Gas, another monopoly, owns the pipe that we take it from, we have to buy gas all the way from the Gulf of Mexico. So a pipe, even though there's another pipeline company 30 miles away in Grand Rapids, the fact that Northern Natural Gas owns that is kind of sets our pricing parameters. So, and that's something we're looking on, but it's going to take a long time to make some progress on. But really good question. So I hope I answered that. A little long-winded. I can get in the weeds a little bit. So. Well, I think I've talked enough, and for those of you, I'll still stick around and be here to ask one-on-one questions. But there's a lot to see in the power plant, so you know, I'd like to.
Oh, one final.
Oh, absolutely.
So if all of us in here decide to buy a Tesla, how many transformers do you have to change out real quick?
Well, we don't have any engineers in the room, do we?
No.
That's a good question. It all depends on where you live and what your
Well,
feeder is.
from mine, you know, I live down in Greenhaven, and, you know, like I think it's a 15 kilowatt KVA transformer feeds 3 houses.
Yeah,
And I was thinking, gee, if all of us plugged in our Teslas at the same time,
yeah.
you know, and my number 8 wire that comes into my 150 amp service
Well,
is gonna melt.
yeah. So I think for home charging, it's about 30 to 50 amps service that you would need. And so I think the draw simultaneously.
So what do you guys, my point is how do you see this going forward?
Well, you know, the first things first, we all know electrification is coming. And so we're preparing for that. We also have some bases to cover before we get there. So we have some
But you
substations.
can't control who buys a car,
Not at
electric
all,
car.
not at all. The short
So
answer
when
is,
they pop out your transformer, what are you gonna do?
we'll replace it. But the short answer is, you should be able to buy whatever you want and upgrade your service so you can do it. Over the long term, if everybody puts in their Tesla, we're gonna have a little more issues, but we also we're planning for that. And so over time, our feeder coordination and reconductoring efforts will address that. But right now, we have
So
some.
now, everybody else who doesn't have a Tesla helps to pay for me having a Tesla, right?
Well, that's a little
Isn't that a
direct.
wonderful
Yeah,
idea?
that is a little direct, but you know, at the same time, our electric system is fairly robust in how it was designed.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was designed a while ago, and a lot of the equipment is aging and needs to be replaced anyway.
Well,
So, you know, I don't know at this point in time that that's gonna really move the needle on anything. But we're gonna have to take it on a case-by-case basis. But, you know, long story short, it is only like having an electric stove in your house, you know, to charge an electric vehicle. And I did see one Ford Lightning drive in the parking lot, so you could ask this gentleman over here.
Well, it's one thing to have an electric stove, it's another thing to have it on for 8 hours,
It is.
or 12 hours, or whatever.
We can talk offline, and I can fill you with all pitch information.
I think it's about 7 kilowatts in an instantaneous draw, is that right?
Well, you can get a fast charger, and that'll really
I've had an
matter.
80 kW, or 15 kW, which is 80 amps.
Okay, all right. So you know, it all depends, but hopefully we got a little bit of time. I mean, and just the nature of it is we have a sizable, we have a lot of just different incomes in giving. And, you know, our priorities are making sure everybody can afford their utility service first, but we do have some additional capacity. But we also have our utility engineer, Mike West, who's leading our distribution planning efforts that he can share a little bit more about that if you take him offline. But more importantly, the next thing that we're doing is rebuilding our substation. We have 5 major substations around town that convert power from 23 kilovolts down to 13.8 kilovolts, and those substations they've served their purpose, they lived their life, and now it's time to replace them. And so we're at that level right now. We're not quite into the feeders yet, but you know that's coming down the road.
You plan to, you mean upgrade from 13.8?
Yes, we'll keep them at 13.8, or at least that main supply, but there's gonna be some just needed upgrades, just like our water utility, you know, that we're upgrading some of the pipes, that will come down the road. It won't be quick though, because I don't know if how much you know, but it's really hard to get electrical components and electronic parts these days, so very long planning lead time for some of these things. So who do we have as tour leaders?
We have Andrew.
Andrew and Piper.
Yep.
All right.
So if you have any high-level questions, they're the ones to ask.
She knows the Turbineers. So.
Yes. So let me introduce Paul Plumbaum. Paul is our energy pricing manager. He oversees the whole power plant, and he and his team are Dan. Dan is the maintenance director for the power plant, and together they work to make sure that you all have enough electricity and steam, along with all the operations support crew within the power plant to do that. So their next generation is going to be leading the different tours. So.
Okay, so I can, we can break up into a couple different groups, and so I'll head out this way and we're gonna head out the back of the building, so right down the hall, anyone that's interested, and.
And then I'll take the second group, we'll just give them a little bit of space and kind of follow right
And
behind.
before we go, please let us know if there's something you absolutely want to see, because we kind of have it in our heads what we're going to show you, but if there's something you want to see and you want to make sure that we address that, let us know. And if we're going too fast or can't hear, some of the spots are loud, dirty, noisy, so.
How long will the tour take?
You would guess anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. Or we can come back shorter if we need to.
Yep.
Depends if I'm with you or not.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a good, I'll be in this room the whole time, so I'd encourage you, if you're going on the tour, go on this one, and I'll come back here if you want to keep talking about things after you see it. But it's worth seeing. Our team has done a lot of work to get this plant back up and running, and happy to show it off.